Welcome to AppInventor. When you first start, you're going to click on the Create Apps button. This will ask you to log in. Use your My Saddleback account. And up at the beginning, it's going to ask you some information. It's going to have a welcome screen. Just continue, click on continue. You don't need to watch any of the videos that are on here. And it might bring up, hey, what kind of project do you want to start? Down at the bottom, it might say blank project. That's the one you want to click on, blank project. Don't start any of the projects that are already pre-made. Since I've used this product before, you'll see my screen already has a project on it. This is the last project I did. When you click up here on projects, it shows my projects, and that's where it'll show all the projects that you have done. For each project you create, you'll come up here to projects and create a new project. When you have to name the project, I want you to name it Activity 1 and your last name, or Activity 2 and your last name. I've just named mine Test right here. You can see this one has some different components on it. I'm going to show you how all of that works. In AppInventor, there are two basic screens you need to know about. Right now, we're in the Designer. This is where we design what is going to be seen on the phone or tablet. All of this shows you what you'll see. The second part is the blocks. The blocks are the coding that happens on that project. So now I'll go back here to the Designer. This is all the parts that I've put on here. So right now I'm going to create a new project. Start a new project. I will call this Activity 1. And my last name. Notice I didn't put any spaces in there, but I put a capital so I could tell where the words end. It won't allow you to put spaces. And here is a big, bright, brand new screen. There are a few screens on the Designer screen, or a few little regions. First, you'll see Palette, then Viewer, Components. Down below that is Media. And then last is Properties. Let's start over here with the palette. The palette is everything that you can put onto your screen. So I can put buttons, I can put images, I can put labels, I can put all kinds of things that you would see on a phone app. So if I put a button right on there, now I have a button on my app. I just drag it over. If I put a label over there, there's my label that I have on the app. There's other things that you can select from the palette. So we have the user interface. We have layout. So how do you want it to look? Do you want things on the left-hand side, right-hand side, up and down, left and right? Notice that when I put the text for this label, it went on below the text for button. I can't just drag it next to it. It goes above or below. Using the horizontal arrangement allows me to put things next to each other. And see, now they're next to each other. I'm going to drag those back out. There is media that I can put on the screen. So I can put sounds. Now when I drag a sound over to the screen, it doesn't show up. That's because you can't see a sound. But if you look down below it, it shows the non-visible components. And the sound is right down there at the bottom. Text-to-speech, translators, all kinds of things. Drawing and animations. So if we're going to do an animation on here, maps, charts, sensors, all kinds of things on here. Now this changes all the time because AppInventor includes new features and gets rid of old features. So this may look different for you. But user interface is where most of the things are that you're going to need. The next one is the viewer. So this shows me everything that we've put onto the phone. If you see this little box right here, I can change the size. Do I want it to be tablet size? We're using tablets in there in this module. So you see that the tablet is a little bit bigger than a phone. So you can see what it looks like on both devices. You can even see what it looks like on a full-size monitor. I'll put it back to tablet size. Actually, I'm going to put it back to phone size. Now next, over here, we see the components. So on screen 1, this is screen 1, you see the horizontal arrangement. That's this one. Label 1 right here, button 1, and then sound 1 down here at the bottom. So everything you see right here, it just lists them for you under the components. On this part right here, you can delete your components. So if I want to delete that horizontal arrangement, I don't want that on the screen anymore, I can click right here on delete. It asks me, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure, and it deletes it. I can also change the name of these components. Later on, you'll find out that by changing the name, it makes it a little bit easier to code. So this is a button right now, and I want it to have a picture of something on it. So I'm going to change the name of it. I'm going to rename it to button with picture. And now you see it's button with picture. Didn't change the button at all over here. It just changed the name of it. And then last is the sound right here. Below this is media. Media is where we put our media. If we want to put some sound effects, if we want to put some music, if we want to put some pictures. So it'll ask you to upload a file. I'm going to upload a file, and in the directions it'll tell you to use your mouse to download some of these files. I've already downloaded mine. I'm going to choose the file, and on the computers in my room, it normally downloads it into a folder called Downloads. Right there is the tiger sound. So I'm going to open that up. It asks me the tiger sound. Do I want to choose that file? No, I've already chosen it. So I hit OK, and the tiger sound is right here. I'm going to upload another file, choose my file, and looking in Downloads, I have a sticker that I want to put in there. Category sticker, it's a drawing file, it's a PNG, it's a graphic file I should say. Hit OK, and now both of those are down there. They haven't changed on the screen because I haven't said where to use them yet. Now this is one of the most important parts of this screen. Once you click on something, so right here I click on text for label, it's highlighted right over here. This tells me the properties of that label. When I change to this, it changes to the properties of the button. And then here's the properties of the sound. So let's start with that label. You see the label right there? Does it have a background color? No. I can change it. I can change it to any color I want, and it changes right on the screen. I can change the font. Do I want it bold? Maybe not. Italic or not. The font size, maybe I want it larger. The font type. Do I want these different types of fonts? Don't worry about the rest of these things, but if you look at the height and the width, this is asking you how high do you want it to be and how wide do you want it to be. The height, I'm going to leave it at automatic. If I say fill parent, it'll fill the entire screen, no matter what size screen you have. If I change it to pixels, I can put in how many pixels I want it to be. So that made it 100 pixels. You can experiment with changing the different size of the pixels. I'm going to put it back to automatic. Now the width, I can say, okay, same thing. I want it to be a certain number of width. I made that one 200 pixels. That's 200 pixels wide. Or I could say I want it to fill the whole parent, fill the whole screen across. And that fills the whole screen. You can align the text. Do I want it on the left, on the center, on the right? And I can change the text color. Make sure it's something that is easy for you to read. I'm going to set it back to black. And then last, is that component visible? By clicking that, the component is no longer visible. It is still there, however. I'm going to leave it on. With the picture, I'm going to click on the next part for the text for button right here. That says the button with picture. So what background color does it have? Right now it's just the default. Once again, I can change it to any color I want for the button. I can make it bold, italic, however you want. change the font size, the font face, the height, the width, the image. This is something new. So that button right there can have an image. And remember, we uploaded some media over here. Now it will say, okay, do you want to use one of those medias? I can upload something different, or I can use one of the two that I've uploaded. I'm going to click on category sticker, hit OK, and now that button is using this sticker. You can't really see it though. So I'm going to go back to the size of it. I'm going to make that size 300 pixels high and 300 pixels wide. And there is my picture. Not very good looking. You'll use something different when you create your project. You can see the shape of it, so I can change it to rounded, default, whatever. I'm just going to leave it default since I'm using this background color. And the text. Now this text is showing up right on top of it. So I can put a different text on there, cartoon. And now it says cartoon right here. Since it's a button, I can say press me. And it shows up on there. I can change that text. Do I want it centered, left or right? And what color do I want that text to be? Something easy to read. And last, do I want it to be visible or not visible? For now, I want it visible. We're going to do one more, and the sound. So we've put the sound on there, but right now the sound has no source. It's saying the sound doesn't make any sound. So I have to tell it I want it to use tiger sound. So when the sound plays, it'll use tiger sound. So like I said, this is the basic designer screen. I'm going to come over here now to the block editor. So we've added all of our ingredients. These are all the things that we need on this screen. Let's go to the block editor, and now we can tell it, we can code that program to do something. On this one, we have the blocks and the viewer and the media. So under blocks, you see all the built-in blocks. These are things that any program can use. We also have the blocks that you've already added. So you've added a label, you've added a button with picture, and you've added a sound. And then there's another one called any component. So I'm going to go to the button with pictures, and we want this thing to make a sound when we press that button. So button with picture, when I click it, it does something. I can say when I focus it, when I long click it, when I touch down, when I touch up, all of these things that go along with this button. But I'm going to say when I click it, do something. So you can see there's an empty space right here. So when I press that button, when I click that button, it's going to do something. What do I want to do? I want it to play a sound. And you can see over here, here's that sound I want it to play. So there's all the different options with that one. Do I want to pause the sound? No, I want to play the sound. I could have it stop. I can have it vibrate. Even though it says it's a sound, it can make the phone vibrate. Kind of like when your phone rings, the phone also vibrates. So I could come over here and, nope, I grabbed the wrong one. Oh, what do I do now? If you grab the wrong one, just drag it to the trash can. I don't need it. So I'm going to come back over here, play the sound, put it in place, and now I have, this will work. Now I have, when I click the button with picture, it'll play sound 1. I want it to do one more thing. I'm going to come over here and I want it to vibrate. So when I click it, it'll play a sound and it will vibrate. Now if you look down the bottom, you'll see errors that show up down here, warnings and errors. This has one little error right there. And it's saying, hey, you've got something empty right here. If you have a red box right here, these ones will show up red. And usually that's because you have two of the same thing. So if I do button click twice, now it says, hey, wait, if you click this one, do you want me to do this stuff or do you want me to do this stuff? I don't know. And that's why it has an error right here. So you can only have one. When you have a whole bunch of things going on your screen, you can make the screen bigger or smaller so you can see, and you can click on this and it kind of centers all of your information on the screen. So you see I still have an error right there. I need to put something in there. It needs to know how long to vibrate for, how many milliseconds. So I need to put a number in there. Think about your classes. Which class talks mostly about numbers? Your math class. And right there is all your math features, lots of different programs you can use for math. I'm going to put a number in there, and I'm going to say I want this thing to vibrate for 500 milliseconds. A millisecond is 1/1000th of a second. So if I want this to vibrate for a whole second, I have to click 1000. If I want it to vibrate for half of a second, I would do 500. A few more things that you might want to know. If you just click on the white space and start typing like red, you see how it says red right there? I click on that and nothing happens. Let's try that one more time. I click on red and it puts out a red box. Remember we were using button click. If I type button, oh, look, it starts showing me all the button stuff. Button with picture. So if you're not sure where to find something, you can just start typing. And it'll usually show up on there. Let's throw this away. Notice there's an error again because there's an empty one right here that I'm not using. So I'm going to put that away. In the next activity, you will test this out. It does not work yet. So if you click on this, nothing will happen. You have to hook it up to a tablet. And in the next activity, I'll show you how to hook it up to a tablet. Make sure you follow the steps right here in the tutorial.